Hey, this is Mark, and today I've got an iPhone 8 Plus that was sent in for no image. So the note says that this happened after a screen change. So what I'm looking for here is some sort of technician damage, and I've kind of looked along the edges of the connector just to see, does it look like anybody pried against the components here and like knocked them loose, and it really doesn't. So we'll assume that there's no problems around there that we can see immediately, um, and we'll move on to taking some measurements to try and narrow down the problem. So I know from experience that this right side of the connector is where most of the image related lines are. So I'm just going to quickly go down it, and what I'm looking for is just to take note of what lines are open line, and then see if anything is open line that shouldn't be. So there's second pin. And the ninth pin. Okay, so pin number 2 and pin number 9 were both open line. There were a few grounds, but they were where I expect them to be, so I'm not going to worry too much about the grounds. I know from memory that those are supposed to be ground. So we'll hop over to ZXW real quick and see what are the second pin. This is I2C Touch by Mamba SDA. Looks like that just goes over to the home button. So it's like the LCD needs to get some sort of signal from the home button or needs to deliver it. So that looks like we would expect it to be open line, so we can ignore that. And then we'll say the ninth pin, which is pin number 18. PP1V8 display. That's probably going to be necessary. And it looks like it goes to a filter over here, which we have not looked over in this area above the home button connector. And we've got open lines, so I would expect then that that filter is probably going to be knocked off the board or blown. So let's have a look. Yeah, look at that. It's just chilling out right there. Just flopping around. So this should be a pretty easy fix. Doesn't look like it was blown, it was just knocked off by the technician. All right, that is soldered back on. And we'll give this a test. I really hate these new battery connectors in the 8s and 10s. They are the worst. So let's hope that this screen is good and that the battery is charged. Doesn't look like the battery's charged. Let's see if we can at least get the battery charging logo to come up. We charging now? Yeah, charging current's a little low, but it's charging. All right. Well, we need to see this thing fire up, so I am going to switch over to DC power supply. See if I can get an image and then toss this one in the done pile. All right, we're still getting backlight with no image, which I don't think I mentioned, but that's what it was doing initially. It was showing, you could see the backlight was coming on, but there was just no picture. So, let's see. Do I have a bad solder joint? Or is that filter itself bad? Seems like it should be fine. All right, well, let's just take that filter off and temporarily place a jumper there. That way we know there's no chance of, sometimes these filters can fail in such a way that they still test good, but they don't allow, the current to pass through that the phone needs. All right. So we will place a jumper there just as part of our troubleshooting, part of our diagnostics. We're going to need a little bit of flux in there. There we go. Nice joints there. Get our DC power back in here. And still backlight, but no image. All right, so our next step here is going to be to dig out another screen and see. It could be that this is, oh boy. Looks like I don't have an 8 Plus screen on hand. Thought I did. Alright, well, I guess we're just going to have to pick this video back up later. Okay, so we are back with this iPhone 8 Plus no image, so it's got backlight with no image. We found that this filter was knocked off, and I replaced that, and tested and still had no image, and I didn't have a known good LCD at the time, so I set it aside. So now I'm back. I've got a known good LCD. I've tried the known good LCD and still getting backlight with no image. So I checked and made sure that I used to have a jumper there. I made sure that my 1.8 volts was present there because I can get to that, but I couldn't really get to these guys to probe to see if the voltage was there. So I just placed a jumper over that filter. This is the 5.7 volt line, just to rule out a partially blown filter that's still testing good. That still gave me backlight with no image. So then I went through and I kind of straightened all these pins. I kind of went in and like pushed back that way to kind of get these end pieces to pop inward a little more. Sometimes that helps with image problems, and that did not help in this case either. So then I went to the old probing the connector in diode mode. Now I don't have an 8 Plus that is a good working board, so I don't have anything to compare to. But one thing I know to check for when I see this kind of problem is for open lines on one of these chokes. There's 4 chokes under here, right? And they're like 2-channel filters, and there's like a ground in between each of them. So I'm pretty sure I checked that while I was recording last time, but you can see I'm getting readings and then ground and then readings and then ground and then readings. So those are all good. What I didn't notice is that there's another choke over on this side in the 8 Plus that I don't remember that being there in the 7 Plus. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But this one, I'm getting open line. And then if I probe on the side of the choke that goes actually to the CPU, I'm getting a diode mode reading. So that tells me this choke must be either bad or has been kind of knocked and has bad joints on this side. So we're going to go ahead and explore this a little further. Yeah, now that that underfill's peeled away, I can feel it just kind of lift right off. So let's see if I could possibly, it could just be cracked solder joints, or it could be damage to the component itself. So I'll see if I can just re-hot these solder joints. Alright, so if that is going to fix it, then that should be good enough. But if it's not going to fix it, I'll have to put a new choke in. Oh, my multimeter went to sleep. So yeah, it looks like we need to put a new choke in there. I know getting melty on that connector is probably making some people nervous out there, but I promise you, all that is a matter of it doesn't look as pretty as it used to, but it's still fully functional. As you can probably tell from watching any of my videos, I'm a big fan of the philosophy that it doesn't have to look pretty, it just has to work. Yeah, probably not picking it up on the camera very well, but I just picked up pieces of the choke off of the two pads that were closest to the connector, so that choke was definitely damaged. These things are just another type of inductor, like a filter or a coil. They're essentially just a coil of wire inside, and you tend to find these in iPhones and iPads on any kind of data lines, data and clock pairs that carry image data. So you'll find them near the camera connectors and the LCD connectors. And you know, for the practical applications, you can pretty much just swap any choke for any other choke. And in a pinch, you could even put just a jumper where a choke was. You know, two jumpers where the choke was. I always replace it just because if you've got any donor board on hand, then you've got, you know, at least 8 or 12 of these chokes, right? All the donor boards have image and camera. Okay, now we'll go ahead and put another filter back here. And then hopefully I can put this in the done pile. I think it's almost time to get some new hot tweezer tips. All right. Let's just check real quick, make sure I am getting a reading here now. Yep. So we should, if we're lucky, get image. It would really suck if there was like a third problem with this board causing no image. There we go. All right, so there you have it. 2 different ways to solve no image. And always make sure you have known good parts around before you start recording. All right, thanks for watching.